Hey friends, this is Aaronica from Aaronica Be Cool, and welcome back to my channel, where over here, of course, we talk about sewing, plus size, inclusive sewing, as well as a myriad of other things. That's why the and co is there. But today, we are going to wrap up New Pattern November. All right, so if you are new here, New Pattern November is something that I have started to do every November for the past couple of years, since at least, I want to say 2021. We've been doing it. And I just encourage people to use this as an opportunity to go ahead and actually sew all of those patterns that you have bought and simply have not used. The reason why I do this is because we know that we get so excited when new patterns drop. And then next thing you know, we purchase a bunch of new patterns, but we have just used our tried and true patterns in order to create things instead of bringing in those new patterns into the mix to see how they mesh or don't mesh with our either sewing style or wardrobe style. And this year, I feel like I was a little aggressive. I do have my notes from the original video, which I will also link right up here if you're like, let me get caught up with what it said, what it is that you said that you want to do. But also, I feel like November for me was, hold please. Listen, Bear was trying to give me a squeaky toy and I was just like, absolutely not, because I do not need for you to be squeaking in my video. Again, November for me was a little bit, I don't want to be like it was hard or it was a little bit of a cluster beep, because it wasn't that it was that. But I found out that I have a really big iron deficiency. And if you're like, okay, so what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? My iron deficiency coupled with that of menopause has really made it hard for me to do kind of like the normal things. My executive function has not been functioning, and it's been really hard for me to actually have a desire to do anything besides the bare minimum, i.e. just leaving the bed and teaching, and that is it, okay? And so November for me, I did not get as much done as my intentions were. And as much as I really would have liked to have gotten through all of these beautiful things that are listed out on this pattern, I simply didn't. And I'm going to go ahead and give myself a break as opposed to coming down hard on myself and being like, damn it, Aaronica, why didn't you do better? Because in truth, there were not that many patterns that were on my list of patterns to make. And I really did need them. And I still do. So we're just going to continue to sew and do the best that we can with what it is that we've got. Now, it is December 1st, and normally in December, I had been doing Vlogmas where I was like recording and publishing videos every single day, but I went down the Vlogmas like rabbit hole on Reddit. And as it turns out, and listen, this is something that I've already talked about before. When it comes to doing kind of research on just things in general, I definitely consult Craft Snark on Reddit. Why? Because while I do take it with a grain of salt, I do feel like there is so much truth that is offered in that space that I definitely am appreciative of. And I don't want to discredit it, what people are saying on that board, simply because it is snarky, or it can be snarky. I do feel like a lot of the feedback there is really valuable when you remove some of the snark from it. I actually kind of feel like it can be valuable even with the snark, if I'm being honest. But people were saying how they didn't actually watch YouTubers during Vlogmas because it became overwhelming. Trying to like keep up with every video that everyone was publishing and things like that, it was like overkill. And granted, no one has said that about mine because I struggle with consistency and I have never done all 24 days. I took that and was like, you know what? I'm going to apply my energy elsewhere, and that is in creating just better content, period. But I will say that again, with my iron deficiency, I have been taking my iron supplements. It has really just been hard for me to be consistent, and that's even more so than normal. So anyway, I will not be doing that. Instead, I definitely have done a better job of mapping out the content that I will be producing so that way I can regain my consistency that I was having before, as well as create quality content for you. So how did I fare with New Pattern November? It was not all bad, I will say that. Now, let's talk about what I originally set out for as far as my goals to be when it came to New Pattern November. So up first was the Falconer pants by Helen's Closet. Okay, so sorry, again, Bear was in here trying to stay focused. Anyway, so up first we had the Falconer pants by Helen's Closet. Now the Falconer pants do come in two versions. They come in the wide leg as well as the barrel leg. I am currently on my barrel leg as well as wide leg obsession. So I could have gone with either, but I did opt to go for the barrel leg. And I definitely was a little hesitant about going into these pants, and let me tell you why. Not because like I don't love Helen's Closet, and not because I don't feel like they're great patterns, but there's two main reasons. The first main reason is my very first pattern that I ever sewed from Helen's Closet were the Winslow culottes, right? And I was trying those out probably in like 2018, 2019, before I really got more comfortable with making adjustments to my pants patterns. And I didn't really know what adjustments to make, and I wasn't fully comfortable with it. And when I made the Winslow culottes, I used a really dope Ankara fabric. I actually still have them cut out, oddly enough, and it could not get them to fit. And I do know now what the fit issue was. It's just that the crotch depth was not deep enough for me, as well as I needed a full booty adjustment to make it fit. And I felt like because I had so much failure with that project, I was hesitant about using another pants pattern from Helen's Closet. The other thing that was a little bit of a drawback for me, because I use a projector to cut my patterns out, and Helen's Closet does not have projector patterns. So for me, that meant that when it came time to cutting out my waistband, that's the only place that was kind of like iffy. She didn't have it in a place where I could even like stitch it together digitally. And that to me was cumbersome. So I really waited until the last minute in order to even cut this pattern, because I just simply did not want to deal with trying to navigate just a not projector friendly pattern, which of course is a bit of a kerfuffle for me, because I did make these pants. I did actually make all of the necessary adjustments in order for me to get an amazing fit of them. And I really like the cut of them. But I'm also just like, but then again, I could probably just like trace it off digitally and then go ahead and make some of the adjustments that I made just as I just did some quick and dirty adjustments on my projector, not actually editing the file itself so that it reflected the actual adjustments that I needed. So I guess I could go back and do that and make the adjustments to the waistband that way. We'll see. But I did make that. Love the way that they turned out. I'm going to insert a little video clip of me trying them on, as well as link the reel to me trying them on as well. I have not actually put them on to take pictures with them, because I actually do need to take photos of them because I use my Minerva fabrics with them. Next up was the Garnet by Seamwork. I didn't make that. The Brooks skirt, also by Seamwork. I didn't make that. And then there were two bralette patterns that I wanted to make from a pattern company that I found on Etsy. I did not make those, and Lord knows I need those because none of my bras fit anymore. And I'm going to pause on that. Actually, you know, we'll parking lot that and come back. Then up was also the Nwala sweatshirt and the Sora bag from Vicky Sews. I did not make either one of those. So anyway, but the bralettes, yeah, I really do need to actually do some more focused time on bra making. And the reason why is because, and honestly, I didn't think that when I lost weight, that it was going to impact my bras as much, because, you know, I had my double mastectomy in 23. And so because of that, like, I'm like, my boobs aren't going to change much. So my bra's not going to change much. Y'all, furthest thing from the truth. And I have, since last year, I have lost 130 pounds. And I'm not sure why in my head, I was like, I will not need new bras. I don't know why that was my thought process. Anyway, so December, obviously, I've got to prioritize some bra making, which is actually perfect because I do have some fabric from Bra Builders that I would love to share more about, because top tier, I love a bra kit. Anyway, so I didn't make any of those. I made one pattern that I set out to make for New Pattern November, and that was it. But that's not the only thing that I made. So let's talk about the things that I did make right now. First up, of course, is going to be the quilted jacket that I did. I know, I made this gorgeous quilted jacket, and this is actually what took up a bulk of my time for November, because I hand quilted this, guys. Okay, hand quilted. Okay, get into that. So let's take a look at some of the stitching, as we can see right here. Yeah, so I had to cut all of the fabric, piece it together, quilt it before cutting my pattern pieces, bias binding them, and then assembling the pattern, which is what dominated most of my time. Now, I am qualifying this as a new pattern for New Pattern November. Now, I have actually made the Ilford jacket that I used to make the pattern, but I modified this pattern so much that it might as well have just been a new pattern. So we've got the quilted jacket. And when I tell you that I'm so in love with this jacket, the inspiration behind the jacket was the quilted jacket that is from Ralph Lauren for Spelman College. For those that do not know, I graduated from Spelman in 2005. So when I saw the jacket, I was like, oh, it's so good. But I was also like, I'm not about to pay that amount of money for the jacket, especially when two, I could make it myself. So that's what I did. I made it myself. Now, a couple of things are missing from this. I do plan on doing a house applique on the back that is supposed to be like the house that is in the Spelman logo. So I do want to add that. And then I also would like to add, I don't know, I was thinking about doing like an S, like on the side, like one of the sides or something along those lines. I don't know. I might decide to do that. I might not. I also wanted to add in some more quilting, some more lines, just because I use the sashiko technique with just that running stitch in order to get this. And I just love how that running stitch looks. I think it's such a beautiful addition design wise, and I would like some more of those running down. So I will probably do that, but that's not something that I'm going to be keeping track of. That's more like as if I'm ever bored, but that's more like I don't have anything pressing to do right now. So I'm going to whip this out and work on it. Okay. So this was piece number 1, which very proud of. Okay. Very proud that we did that, because y'all, when I tell you that I did not want to do it, but my girlfriend, Lisa, who I taught the class with, because this was actually for a class, made the hand quilting seem so easy and so desirable that I hopped on into it. And honestly, I kind of enjoy hand quilting now. And so I don't know, maybe one of the other quilt tops that I have made might actually get quilted. I mean, it's a strong maybe. Next up is a scarf hat. And so this was a trial run for this. I have really been enjoying wearing hats more. And this was such a fun and easy make, but I don't like the brim. I feel like the brim is just too small. I'm like, it's giving, am I a toddler or no? Let me just go ahead and I just refreshed my curls today. So we're not going to give it an official tie, but you see here, I don't know, guys. Maybe it's not too small. I don't know. I would like to do more brim options. So this was pattern number 2, which we celebrate. So I'm going to actually produce a couple of more of those. And specifically, I like the brim of the trucker hat. And so I want to bring that in. So I'm going to look to do that. Then of course we have this here bodysuit. This bodysuit was made with Minerva fabrics. And y'all, when I was originally cutting out my fabric, I cut it with that selvage. And when you use custom fabric from Minerva, it's like a huge white space. So we've got that on the inside. But this is the jersey fabric. This collection is from Kichi Bee Style. My girlfriend Marcia, she designed this fabric for Minerva. And to make the bodysuit, I used the Clara from Mood Fabrics, which is a freebie. Now, when it comes to freebies, y'all, you get what you pay for. So you pay for nothing and you just have to accept what they offer, okay? Sometimes it's fantastic, right? Because the freebies that we do with Made for Mermaids, chef's kiss, fantastic, right? I have never gone through a mood pattern and been like, man, that was an amazing finish. Literally never. And I've been sewing their patterns and I try them probably once a year or once every 2 years. And this was no different. So it looks like it's fine. But y'all, this front piece, right, the front lining piece, I've got a fupa, I've got a tummy. And this thing is even big on that. It's almost like it's not a panty, a brief cut line. It's almost like a boy short cut line, but that wasn't the intention. That's not what the photos show. So I was confused. And then I had to take it in a whole lot. And I cut it based off of the finished measurement size, not my actual size. So yeah. And then also opted to create an internal bra versus fully lining it and then banding it. And I'm really satisfied with how that came out. Would I make it again? Possibly, but we would have to size down a bunch of sizes. And then I do wish I had understitched all around the lining piece. Not because I did self-line, but because there's this like white on this side, whatever. Anyway, no one will really pay attention to that. And I do feel like I might end up popping it back in and taking it in a little bit more. And by popping it back in, I mean into the serger and taking it in. And then of course, our final new pattern November was of course the Falconer jeans. And I used the same fabric, but I used a denim. And this is I want to say it's a 10-ounce denim that I used for this. So I obviously got that waistband situation figured out. No biggie, but also like slightly biggie, but it wasn't that. I digress, okay? So my favorite feature on this is the rainbow button. I was super excited about that. Now, this button is not the easiest to use, okay? Like, I cannot hold my pee to get out of these pants, okay? Because we gonna have to get in there and we're gonna have to, you know, I gotta open. But because of the shape of this button, okay, it's gonna take a little second to get in and out these pants. You know what I'm saying? But when I tell you that these fit wonderfully, so good. So I did add an inch to the front of the crotch curve. I also added an inch to the back curve for a total of 2 inches for my crotch curve in its entirety. The way that I figured out that I needed to add that much to the crotch curve, for those who have ever done their seated crotch depth, based off of my crotch depth, it was aligned with the crotch depth of the pants. But when I measured the crotch curve for both the pants as well as for myself, there was a difference of about 2.5, almost 3 inches. And so I opted to just add 2 inches to the crotch curve. So I added an inch in the front curve and an inch in the back curve. And that gave me such a nice finish. Now, because my waist I probably could have sized down one more for the waist, but because my waist is, I think it's about 14 inches smaller than my hips now, that typically is a lot of size differentiation. Now, depending upon what kind of fit technique that you use, if you do the top down method, whatever, will determine how you make the adjustment to your pants. Now, because this was my first time making the pants, what I did was I made the bottom part in a size 20 and I made my waistband in a size 18. I should have gone down, or no, I did the pant in a size 22 and I did the waist in a size 20. I should have gone down to the size 18 because I do still have some very small amount of gapping. It's not enough for me to be like, it's a huge issue, but I do feel like if I do lose more weight, then it will be something that I have to take in. But what I did was I, in essence, kind of like I took it in the butt area, like in that back seam, I took it in so that it fit onto the waistband perfectly. And I would have done darts, but this back pattern actually does not have a yoke or darts at all. And so the easiest method for me to do was to just simply go ahead and take it in at that center seam. I also love that for my pockets, I cut my fabric on the bias, offering a little bit of visual interest here, okay? So I still have to do the drawing for the person or the 2 people who won patterns from me. And I will be sending out that email tonight after this here video drops. But tell me, how was the pattern in November for you? What did you end up sewing? What were your goals? Were you far off from your goals? Whatever you didn't sew, are you going to take that into December? Let me know in the comments. Make sure that you've gone ahead and liked, subscribed, as well as turned on the bell so that whenever I drop new videos or go live, you are notified. And with that, for now, happy sewing, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.